feel the fear and do it anyway. Fake it till you make it. We often tell ourselves that we can push through those moments of insecurity, but sometimes those feelings turn into paralyzing anxiety. It has a name. It's called Imposter Syndrome. David Kozlowski is a therapist and host of the popular Light the Fight podcast. I haven't been this intrigued about a topic in a really long time. Good to see you. Good to have you. You're the guy for this. I know you've talked about it a lot over the years, and it is picking up in popularity, the phrase imposter syndrome. Define it for us.
Well, imposter syndrome is really when let me give you the street definition of it.
Please.
Because there's lots of definitions.
Break it down.
It's the fear that you're doing something and you don't know what you're doing, and other people think that, oh my gosh, they're an imposter, they're faking it. Well, because we don't know what we're doing doesn't mean that we can't be good at it. Doesn't mean that we're not capable of being competent at it.
Yeah.
It's just this thought and feeling that I'm going to be exposed as not being a professional, not being a valid, credible person to talk about the subject or to be in this position.
You see this show up in 3 key areas.
Yes. That's social or social media, right? Those go hand in hand. Professional, and also family and parenting, because I'm a family therapist. So I talk to lots of parents, and this is now a lot of people can have this imposter syndrome in one of those categories. It doesn't mean they're imposter in all aspects of their life. That's why I like to let people know there's 3 specific categories.
Let me throw out a fact or a truth about imposter syndrome as pulled from your notes, and you help color in and talk around it. So fact, imposter syndrome thoughts are not truth.
They're not truth. In fact, our feelings and our thoughts are not truth. They're sometimes truth. So for example, your feelings are real, not necessarily reality, right?
Yeah.
So you can think you're a bad mom because you gave your kids microwave pizza and juice boxes for the day, and Department of Child and Family Services is not coming to take your kids away from you.
All right, here's another fact. I love this one. Fear often comes first.
Yeah, whenever we have a status change, we're trying something new. We're trying to be a better parent. We're trying to start an online business. There is going to be the fear there. And now, when we have the fear, that's actually that's the main ingredient to developing courage and bravery. If we don't have fear of something, we can't summon courage and bravery. We can't be, hey, I've figured this out because I've done it a bunch of times. When we have fear, it's like, what if I don't figure it out? Well, that's the pathway. That's like the chocolate chips of the chocolate chip cookies. Like, you need that ingredient in order to be courageous and brave.
I love that. I love that. I remember once getting ready to step into a big arena to introduce an event, right? Lots of people looking in, and someone said, oh, this doesn't make you nervous. And I'm like, if it didn't, would that be normal? Like, if you aren't having those little flutters or those little, heart quickening moments, that's just part of life, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and think about it. Everyone that's ever come on this show for the first time feels like an imposter. And that means they're very normal. Like, it's definitely something that you should expect to feel.
Which leads into this next fact. Thoughts don't make you crazy.
Thoughts don't make you crazy. In fact, let me give a little help to anyone out there. If you feel that you have been an imposter because you had some sort of level change or some sort of shift in life, let me tell you, that means you're not narcissistic. True narcissistic people do not have imposter syndrome.
I hadn't thought of it like that.
So, and I don't mean to say narcissistic people are crazy. I'm saying a lot of times we think we're crazy because we have these thoughts bouncing inside of our mind.
Yeah, they flood us.
We unknowingly entertain the thought as if it's truth when it was just a thought that popped into our head.
That is good. That reframes it in a totally different way. A totally different way. It's part of the human condition to feel this way. Let's get into some ways we can overcome these feelings or overcome imposter syndrome. First, you say, be a public self-disclosure. Yeah,
when we're around other competent people, let's say there's a professional environment, and you're around other competent people, and you have a presentation you're supposed to give. First time you've ever given this presentation, because the first time you've ever had this position. You walk into it, and some people have this natural ability to stand up, as long as they're prepared, start talking, and say, listen, just before I get going, I want to make sure everybody knows that what I'm about to share with you is probably something you already know. I just want to add some information. And if I say something you don't agree with, because I probably don't agree with it myself either. So just call me out on it. We'll talk about it. That just eases. And when you're around competent people, they go, okay. That's obviously a person that's comfortable with not always knowing what to say or what to do.
Just laying it out there.
Just laying it out there.
You want us to use humor, which you kind of just did.
Humor is a very good one because, think about it, humor does create so many good neurochemicals. humor, like light humor, not too self-deprecating, right?
Yes,
we don't
agree.
want to be like, I'm a horrible person, I'm this and
Agreed.
that, but I guess you should still listen to me.
It's the
right?
person who gets up in church and gives 17 excuses before the talk.
Exactly. So the best type of humor, just like the example I just gave, let's say you're in a family situation with your kids, your parents, your kids are making you feel like you're not a good parent. They're calling you out like, well, you said you're gonna do this, but you didn't do this. That particular situation, it's a great way to use humor and be like, well, I say I'm gonna do a lot of things that I forget what I'm supposed to do. In fact, the only thing I remember is that I always forget. Using light humor in those situations, even the people that aren't sure if they should follow your leadership, they see your humor as you're not expecting them to be perfect because you're not pretending to be perfect either.
It's trust building all around.
Exactly.
You want us to reach for the phrase, and I wholeheartedly agree with this as well, I don't know, more often. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. It's one, like, again, if there's a complex problem or thought process going inside of our mind, which imposter syndrome really is, can become complicated if you entertain it.
Yeah.
But for you to say, you know what, I don't know, let me get back to you about that. Every one of my clients, people I've talked to that just learned this technique and this tactic, they found it's like, it just relieves the relief of the pressure just enough where you can catch your breath and you can keep on going.
30 quick seconds. Finally, replace and for but.
This is a huge one, and I used this example just a little bit ago. The best thing I use for women, and specifically moms are beating themselves up. I'm like, you did not give your kids a health, like if you were to do it for yourself, say, I didn't give my kids a healthy meal tonight, and Department of Child Family Services isn't coming to take my kid away. The reason why we want to put and in these thoughts, when you're trying to help yourself individually, you're going to be like, but if I don't do this, then I'm a bad mom. But if I don't do this, then I'm bad at that. You switch but with and, you have options. Instead of being like, I'm a horrible mom, it's like, yeah, I did something that I wouldn't want to do again, and I learned from it, so I'm going to be better next time.
There's a reason you're so good at this, and there's a reason your podcast is so popular. You break it down in a very approachable way. You did a podcast about this very topic.
About this. In fact, we're going to do a 2.0 version of this because we had so many people. I didn't know that many people be interested in the topic, so we're going to do another version of it next week.
How can we access these conversations?
Light the Fight on any podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, Light the Fight, and that's where all the information's there.
All right, we'll link you over. Thank you, David. This was really fun.